What's going on, everybody? This is B. I'm B. Hope you're having a blessed day. And today we're going to talk about voting fraud. So, B, I want you to tell me what's going on with this nation on voter fraud.
So as of right now, as far as we're tracking, voter fraud has definitely been in the hot topic for the last couple of months with the election going on. The question is there going to be fraud, or is there going to be fraud, or is there not going to be fraud? So the big thing is vote in person, because in that way it can't be fraudulent. Apparently by mail, they believe there's going to be fraud. And this is not just this. There's a difference between like absentee ballots and actually just registering to vote early / voting generally and not in person. So that's where it is right now. So with that being said, what are your thoughts on it?
So my thoughts, I think it's best if you go to these registration centers and you actually vote in person. But of course, if you're separated from your family when it comes to your location, or you're serving overseas for the military, or something that's keeping you away from those ballots, then I think doing it online is the best resource. I mean, when it comes to the mail-ins, like there was an incident in Kentucky where they found ballots in a river. And of course, that compromises a lot of the election process. But at the same time, no way is perfect, honestly, because somebody can go in there in person or do some shady thing, and then online you're suspect to hacking and stuff, so they can manipulate a lot of outcomes when it comes to that. And then of course with the mail-in, like I said, with people just hijacking these mail-in. No way is perfect, but we need to analyze what the most effective method is and then go from there.
Yeah. So my belief in it is it should be done in person. There's a lot of stuff that can happen, like you said. We've had not just in Kentucky. I believe it was also New Jersey. I think it was New Jersey, where the people were doing mail fraud. People were taking multiple votes down for other people. They also found bags or boxes of registrations and votes that just were thrown away, or other stuff done to it, maybe just lost. And then also, just a couple of days ago, I saw where one of these drop boxes, someone had actually tossed something on fire to try to burn the ballots that were in there. Which, of course, I think there was like over 100 ballots in there or something like that, and about a third of them they said were damaged. So that box then had to say, hey, if you dropped your box off here, you can come back and get a new one, or you can then come back and vote in person. Again, I believe in the voting in person, because even though some stuff can always happen at all times. We know this. But what do we do to minimize issues? Exactly, to minimize errors. And being there in person is the best way in which you can minimize the error and make sure. Now, like you also stated earlier, there's people that just can't be home, right? Like you said, military serving overseas, or just not in the same state in which they have residency. So with that, then they have to deal with the absentee ballots
and the risks that come to it.
But even then, I believe in the one in Kentucky it was, or maybe it was somewhere else, where lots of the votes that were missing were from like military. So those were absentee ballots as well. So it doesn't matter if it's the normal voting or absentee ballots. No matter what, mailing is definitely got a lot more issues than voting in person. And my last statement before I pass it on back to you is, before this year, errors with mail-in were 2.5% higher errors than voting in person, which 2.5%, if anybody knows, last election was, I believe, that close in a lot of those states. So really swinging the election could be saying, hey, vote in person if you really want to make sure your vote's counted, because even though yours might not be 2.5%, it could be. It's not a big number, but it's a huge number when looking at the overall votes.
Yeah.
It is. So with that being said, what would you go to do to change it, if anything, or if just say, hey, I'm just canceling it, or what? Is there anything that you would do differently?
So me personally, I'm a big fan of, I'm a tech-savvy person, so I think honestly the best way we could do it is just maybe try a solution when it comes to online voting. Like, it has to be, of course, it has to be very secure. There got to be security measures implemented to make sure these hackers can't get into it. But I think honestly that's the best way of tracking everything. Even then, like, the votes will go in. There's like some consolidation, where it comes to like, here, these people voted from here, these people voted from here, and therefore, like, the people are complaining too much about this issue going on. Like, it shouldn't this shouldn't be non-political. This is just should be just people voting. I think it just becomes an issue when you have multiple parties try to fight. Oh, this is the best way. No, this is the best way. I think both of these parties need to come down and figure out a solution and try to divide and conquer some of the stuff going on.
Yeah, I think the government is so divided right now. The government's so divided that even something like this, which should be a nonpartisan issue, it's just, hey, how can we come up with a process to get the most accurate voting and votes counted as possible? How can we do that? Because we don't know if your side's going to win or our side's going to win. How can we make sure we do this fairly to where we can trust the system? They're so divided that they can't even agree on that. And I don't say it because because there's one that's completely accurate and the other one's completely wrong, or because both of them are completely accurate on their sides or both of them are completely wrong. In the end, they just need to do that so that we can come up with the best solution possible
For everybody.
No matter who's right or who's wrong. Because just like we discussed, we both believe inside of in-person voting. There's a lot of other people that believe that you should be able to do a mail-in vote, mail-in ballot. But there's also, and they're going to have their arguments for that because, oh, hey, maybe this person can't get out of their house very easily. There's a lot of senior citizens might be not completely immobile, but, their mobility is severely restricted. Or others, not even senior citizens, just normal people that their mobility is severely restricted. So let's get them about that way to vote. With that, but then at the same time, it's like, hey, if you really want to vote, if it's really that important to you, you would get out there and you would vote then. You shouldn't have to go out there and have it come to you if it's something that's that important, because
you got to go seize the moment.
Yeah. There's so many things, like we said, that we're talking about. There's some people on YouTube also that live inside some of these areas where mail-in ballots were just sent to everybody. Whether you requested one or not, it was just sent to your address, the last known address that you were at. And this guy on YouTube, and some people may know him, his name is Tim Pool. He actually had a mail-in ballot sent to his address, and I think it wasn't even for him. It was from someone that lived there prior to him. So they're just selling, exactly. So then the 2.5% was for, to me, errors in previous elections. Now with this constant, like these constant changes, these rapid changes to the way we're going to run it, I feel like we're going to be looking at a much higher error rate. A much higher error rate. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it doubled to 5%, which is honestly astounding if it gets to that. I think that would be horrible. One in every 20, having an error and that can't be counted, that's a big number, especially when 60 million people have voted early. How many of those early voters are through mail? Because some people have been able to show up early and vote early by showing up, but how many mailed in early to do so that are now going to be counted as an error? And with all these other issues, how many other people also seize the initiative saying, oh, this person doesn't live here anymore? Well, I guess I know who they're voting for, and they're voting for that person. And that person goes to vote then on election day, and they're identified as someone that's voted twice now, which is illegal. And they don't even know that they're doing it. And all these changes, to me, are another reason why you keep it to where it's just, there's so many errors. So the thing is what's the best possible way? And we should not be moving too fast, which is why I always we should be keeping things the same, and we make minor adjustments to see what's better.
And I do think COVID-19 has played a giant role in this too, because everybody's been scared about it too. I think once it goes away, then hoping everything can go back to normality, and soon it'll just be, strictly in-person voting too. And honestly too, I do kind of like the people are voting early too, because that shows more people are taking the initiative to actually like they want to bring that. Them themselves can't bring the change, but their numbers, they actually think their vote will matter in the long run. And I'm happy to see people are going out there and taking that next step. But when it comes to the margin of error is like, we can't. This is not acceptable. Like, who knows? In 5 days, this person is president. But if it messed up statistically, then that person is just sitting at home or something when he or she could have been the president. So it's crazy, B.
Yeah, no, and the errors. I mean, we were talking about the errors and stuff like that, but you brought up another point of just voting early, right? I actually don't like the idea of voting early that much because unless you're for sure on who you're voting for, the number one search after the debates was, can I change my vote? Can I change my vote? Now, I don't know if it was change my vote from Trump to Biden or Biden to Trump. Or from either of them to someone else like, who else is going for president right now?
Joe Jordison.
Oh, yeah. So either way, so like maybe they want to change their vote that way and say, look, this is a wash for me. I'm going that way. Either way, no matter what, voting early has proven to some people that they voted a little immaturely, I guess,
without thinking of not researching like the facts.
Precisely. It's just kind of, it's funny, but at the same time, I mean, I say that maybe I don't like voting early because of that, but at the same time, it's like, hey man, maybe you should be doing your research yourself, Well,
I was going to say too, also, like how we're talking about the margin of error too, people who probably voted earlier too, it's the dates or the time frame within those voting dates that causes more errors too, because it's not all one setting.
Yeah.
So
I was actually going to bring that up. Yeah, I was going to bring that up because the time. Yeah. How long is that ballot sitting there that someone can go in there and tamper with it? What if someone goes in and be like, oh yeah, I don't like all these early ballots, and he just firebombs the thing? I'm not going to say like actually throws a Molotov in there or something like that.
You're trying to think hypothetically.
Exactly. Anything can happen. I mean, let's be honest. Everybody, even the people getting the votes, are human, right? Let's just say that the guy goes in there.
My dog voted here.
Yeah. Nice. But what if someone goes in there to where the ballots are, right? Because I don't even know where they're storing these ballots. But it's going to be inside some file, some file closet or something like that, maybe behind some locker. And say, if the guy goes in there to take a break because he wants to make a phone call and he doesn't want to be bothered. Oh, I know where people don't go. They don't go in the ballot room because it's secure. I'm going to go in there and make a phone call. He's making a phone call. He's got his bottle of water and he just spills it all over ballots. I mean, And now what's going to happen to those ballots that were previously good a week ago? But as we're getting closer and closer, it's just more things, like you said, more time for it to have issues and stuff.
I hope it doesn't come to some dude just spilling water, because hopefully they got these actually set in like some metal container or something.
You would hope, but again,
I'm not assuming
have you or I seen different things from people that are supposed to have more responsibility than that even?
No, but I'm not, like I said before, I'm not assuming anything.
No, I'm not going to assume anything.
Yeah.
I just know the probability of something that can possibly happen. And that probability across every single state and every single location where they've collected ballots, pretty sure something's going to happen to some of those things.
So let me ask you a question. So like how you asked me, like what's the best alternative method?
Yeah.
You think the best alternative method for this solution is just keep it strictly in-house?
Yeah, I think the in-person voting is actually a great way to go. I think it is. And like you said, I know you brought up using the internet, right? Mm-hmm. Leveraging the internet to do so. But let's be honest, your bank doesn't have good enough security to keep out hackers all the time, right?
Yeah,
Robinhood, people have been saying Robinhood has been hacked. Now, granted, that is all hearsay. They've never come out and said they've been hacked, but there have been other major hackings of organizations that are supposed to have very good security. The U.S. government apparently had the hack from China several years ago. So you're telling me in an election, a presidential election, which the world is watching every 4 years. There's not going to be people trying to hack the system that they know is only online.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They should bring some security.
Well, yeah. All I'm saying, though, is that no matter what, it's so easy. Of course, it's actually difficult to get through these things, but in the long run, it could be so easy that once you get in, literally, once you get into that, it's not going on to every single ballot and having to check every ballot. You literally sit there and do a quick little code or something like that, and every single vote from this side moves to the vote on that side, and it's done within seconds once you're in. Everything is a wash at that point. Where at least with the ballots, the in-person, even if it's computerized, but it's on a closed network to where nobody else is getting into it except for those, you can then make those counts and say, okay, hey, this is where we're at. And if that stuff becomes a mistake, it is it's that small group, right? It's isolated from the rest of the ballots. So I just feel like it's doing the online at this point in time. It may always be. It's just going to be too risky, because as we go into the future, you'd be like, well, we have better security measures, but then at the same time, they're also going to have better ways to break in. So I really feel like in-person is probably going to be the most secure way, even though it's always going to be a little slower, always going to be, maybe we're always going to have this discussion because of it. I think it's just the way to go. Just like you talk to people, right? The best way to get in touch with someone, the most positive way to get in touch with someone is face-to-face.
Yeah, you're right.
You can't confer. You don't know if that person's going to answer the phone. You don't know if they're going to answer email. You don't know if they're going to be able to, to see you on Facebook at all times. And now, granted, people on here will be like, oh, well, my phone tells me. Well, how do I know that your phone isn't dead or it's charging it away from you? So if I want to make sure that I have information, I got to get to you. I need to vote, and I need to talk to you to vote. I'm going to come to you and say, hey, B,
vote.
I'm voting for this guy. And then now I have confirmed that with you physically, face to face, that is my vote. And to me, that's why the in-person voting is probably the only way you should go, except for those exceptions that just cannot be altered, like the absentee ballots and stuff like that when you're away.
Well, yeah, but like I said, I wasn't speaking like it should be like, from now on, it should be computerized.
Oh, yeah, I'm not trying to say that per se. I was just bringing that up because you brought it up just as a generalization.
Yeah, but I think it's just because COVID-19, too, everybody's just too panicky about it. And like how you said, like, if the people who are really wanting to do this, they'll take the next step to do it.
Exactly.
And that, too, plays in the fact of people not voting, and those are the votes that actually matter then. But I don't have anything else regarding this. I think this is a good topic we touched on.
Yeah, no, I think it was good. I mean, we talked about it. We talked about what we could potentially do if we wanted to change it up, and we talked about where the issues that I'm pretty sure everybody else sees are. Let's just hope that it all we minimize the errors. That's one thing, because the one thing we don't want is presidential election and people are
president.
Yeah, people just even if it's not a false president, people just don't believe in the system anymore because they believe that there's going to be errors. Even if errors go down, I could see people still saying, well, what about the errors? So it's going to be difficult to deal with no matter what. Let's just hope that, like you said, we come up with a system where all parties agree and trust what the outcome is.
Exactly.
So, all right. Well, then that's a wrap for the show. That's B. I'm B. Like, subscribe, comment, definitely. Leave us comments. Let us know what you're thinking. We want to know what your thoughts are if you have any other ideas. And don't forget that notification bell so that you can get any upload that we're able to put up for you. Until next time, you guys have a great one, and we'll see you guys in a couple days.